Welcome everybody to the IEAA Fellowship webinar. I'm Elizabeth. I'm the Professional Learning and Programs Coordinator at IEAA, and it's my pleasure to share with you about IEAA Fellowship Credential, what it is, how you can be awarded, and why you should be awarded. If this is your first time being acquainted with IEAA, welcome. IEAA is a peak body for international education in Australia, and together with affiliated bodies, corporate partners, government, we work to promote the benefits of international education to the broader community through three strategic pillars: advocacy, research, and professional development. Let me start today's webinar by acknowledging the people of the Warrawurrung and Boonwurrung language groups of the Eastern Kulin Nation, on which webinar is being hosted and recorded today. We would like to also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country where you are from, and we pay respects to the elders past and present. Some housekeeping information. The session is being recorded. As you all know, now you will receive an email to access this recording after attendance being marked, potentially latest by Monday. Throughout this session, please feel free to post any comments or questions in the Q&A box, and I'll respond to them at the end of my presentation. And you will also see a couple of polls popping up on your screen during this webinar. They are all anonymous, so I highly encourage your participation and appreciate that. If you will see one poll up now on your screen, and it will ask you about the stage of the fellowship journey you're at right now. Now, please take a moment to respond to the poll so we know where you are at currently with your fellowship journey, because I know some of you have started the process and found some difficulties in completing the process or a bit stuck, or some of you are still unsure. This will help me to know which area of the fellowship process to zoom into and spend more time in today's webinar. So I'll give 3 more seconds to answer this poll in 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Thank you for those who have participated. So I can see actually almost half of you are new to this fellowship program. And some of you, just slightly about 20%, are still have already set a goal and working towards it. So this is great. I'm going to then focus a lot more on the whole entire process from the beginning, and I'll walk you through step by step in a later stage. Thank you. And today I will share with you 3 things about the IEAA Fellowship: what it is, why you should consider it, and how you can participate in it. If you're ready, what is it? What is IEAA Fellowship? It is a prestigious recognition for professionals in international education community, especially in Australia. Fellows are seen as leaders, innovators, influencers, with dedication and experience in international education. Now, why you should consider it? The fellowship elevates your professional credibility and recognition within the international education community. You will have access to exclusive networking opportunities with industry leaders and your peers. And it enhances career advancement as you gain visibility in the community through participating in various activities. You might have already come across them. IEA events, for example, NAFSA, API that just passed, Asana, or straight webinars, and the list goes on. So how can you then participate? This is a fun and important part. It's really, really straightforward. First and foremost, though, that is not part of this 4-step process, is to be an IEA member. The reason why is because of the way our system is designed, because only IEA members will have access to IEAA Fellowship, your fellowship profile, essentially. And I'll walk you through how. And if you're not a member, you will still be able to accumulate points, but you just don't know how far along you are in the program or how you can set your goal and follow this process. So the first thing first, be an IEA member. Next, so number 1, set your goal. You have 3 levels to choose from: associate fellow, fellow, senior fellow. Each of them have their own criteria, and I'll walk you through later. Second, log your activities. Only eligible activities will be recognized. So there are a few questions that you can ask yourself before adding them into your profile. Is it a professional development activity? Or is it just a meeting that is organized by your company, or just a networking function organized by your company? So those will not be considered. Only professional development activities organized by a third party, for example, or a peak body, they can be considered. So there are a few rules and regulations there. So just I'll walk you through in a short while. Once you add your activities, the system will automatically calculate your points. Now, if you have met the required points for your goal, you can then request for an assessment. Why is this assessment needed? Many people ask, actually, many people email me and asking, oh, what happened to all these activities that are unverified? Can you verify them for me, please? So verification process happens during this assessment process. So only when you request one assessment, then I will come in and I will check each activity that you have added against things that you have included, supporting documents that you have uploaded. And if there is still information that is missing for me to ascertain that, oh, is this really relevant? Is this how many hours is this event, or how many years you've been overseas, or how many weeks you've been overseas? So things like that, if I need further information, this is the time during the assessment process where I'll ask you for more information by email. Now, once everything is verified, you've met the threshold, then you are able to proceed to the next stage, which is the Professional Development Committee review. So I'm just the gatekeeper here. I'll just make sure whatever you submitted are meeting the requirements, the criteria. And then the Professional Development Committee are the ones that will be reviewing your application and endorsing them. If everything goes smoothly, that will come on the fourth step. Congratulations, and I'll congratulate you for getting the credential, and you can then share your achievement. Now, the next slide I'll share with you. If you remember how many levels there are as a goal that you can achieve, there are 3. You can start with associate fellow, or senior fellow. And it doesn't matter where you want to start first, but I highly encourage, from my experience here in the role, if you have been in the sector for 10 years, fairly active, not very active, then I would suggest that you consider starting with associate fellow first. If you have been in the sector for 20 years and you've been, going to AIEC, Asana, or many events, participating very actively, I would suggest that you go with fellow as a starting point, and that's all right. And then you level up as you go and progress in your career. All right, so this is the end of the formal presentation, just to let you know what it is and how and why you should achieve it. Now I'm going to share with you my screen to walk you through the actual process itself. All right, so let me just share my screen again. Bear with me. So remember, if you have any question, feel free to ask in the chat box, and I will come to those questions in a later at the end of this walkthrough. All right, I'm sharing my screen now. Again, all right, so you can see this browser. So how then do you navigate to your fellowship, IEAA Fellowship? So first and foremost, navigate to IEAA.org.au. So that is our browser there, IEAA.org.au, and that's our website. Click on the sign in button on the top right-hand corner, sign yourself in. If you don't know what is your password or what is your sign in, just email us at admin, or there's a contact here, but my colleague will be able to share the email address on the chat box. That is admin@IEAA.org.au. Now you sign in, and this is something that I need to do as a staff member. You don't have to do this, so you can ignore this part. So once you are in, you'll be able to see that your name is being displayed, no longer just a sign in button. So click on this because this is where the fun part is. And this is where you can access your member account, your member information. So this is also the part where you can update your details. For example, your email address have changed. If you have changed to another job, to another company, or if you have contact preferences that you want to update, feel free to do it here. In fact, if you have already registered for future events, you can also see it here. Update your password. There's a lot here. And also if you have been attending events in the past and you want to get to know more about the resources, recordings and whatnot, they can be found in the members resources. Now for today's purposes, I'm not going to walk you through this because you can explore this on your own, but go to my fellowship and that is where your fellowship profile sits. Once you're in there are 3 options here you can look into. And first and foremost is your goal. So for majority of us here today, you have not really set your goal. This is the first time you know about this credential. So click on My Goals and Activities. You can see there are 2 tabs here on the top. So under My Fellowship Goals, there are 3 levels you can add. For myself, I've been in industry for about 15 years now, and there are various, before coming and joining IEAA, I was doing other things, recruitment, agent commissions management, and a lot more other things. So anyway, so I don't think I have enough points for fellow. So I think I'll just go with associate fellow and I'll add my goal. So I'll add that. Now you can add all the goals in your profile, that's fine. So the system will take a bit of time to calculate however many points that you already have now. If you have been very active with IEAA, a lot of the time, events that you have attended in the past will be already stored in your IEAA Fellowship system. It's just not being displayed right now because the system will take its time to calculate. So then what you do, you go to activity logbook. So right now you can see total point 0, nothing. Yeah, there's no points recorded. Now, when you go to your activity logbook, this is where you will see all the things you have participated in the past, or if you want to add new activities. So if you are very new to even IEAA, you will not see a lot of things here. So this is the time then you will add activity, and I'll walk you through. I'll show you how. So when you click this button, you can put in the date of when the activity took place, or you can put in the date, today's date, for example. It's up to you. We don't really see it, but if you can put a date of when the event took place, that'll be great. Otherwise, if you can't remember, just put today's date, that's fine. Now for me, I'll just put today's date as I'm going to put in my professional experience so far. So the next field you can see is the category with a drop-down list. This is a lot. The list goes on here. Now, what are these lists? I forgot to show you one more step there, but so you can scroll this list down. I'll show you in a short while. But basically, there are 3 main broad categories. In fact, you know what? I'll just close this one first. Now, there is activity types here, which is the last option on the left bar. Click on that, on the activity types. Okay, so you see here, there are 3 broad categories for which we will accept fellowship points. So for which we'll award fellowship points accordingly. So there's education, experience, and engagement. Within each of these broad categories is subcategories. These are the activities. So for example, if you've got a bachelor degree, you can actually get 200 points for your towards your fellowship credential. Now, if you've done a master's degree, you get additional 300 points. So in total, you already have 500 points. That is as simple as that. In fact, if you've got a PhD, if you're a lecturer, you might even have 1,000 points already stored just from doing your formal education. We don't really care what fields it is, as long as it is AQF equivalent, we will accept them. Now, when it comes to professional learning, these are the parts where it's divided into different categories. So there is IEAA events. So IEAA events will have higher number of fellowship points, and you can see there is a bit of not limitation, but we only look at events that have been done in the past 10 years, in the last 10 years. So anything now beyond 2014 will not be considered anymore. So just be mindful of this when it comes to events, because we want to make sure that it is all still relevant, you know, for your professional development. And if you have attended events that is not part of IEA, we will also accept them as long as they are international education related. It can be in the form of webinar. It can be in the form of a workshop, half day, 1 day, or more than 2 days. So there are points that are allocated accordingly. Again, the caveat is that it has to be within the last 10 years. So these are events. If you've done any short courses that are from open learning, or if you've done courses that are, you know, towards your, for example, if an agent, a recruitment agent, you've done a course to have a registration to be a certified agent. So that will consider under professional credentials. Now there are examples here as well for some that are listed here. So you can claim 100 points towards this. So it's very, very straightforward. Now, experience. So that's something that I wanted to add on earlier. So experience for every year you are in the industry. Now it has to be international education. Can be no matter whatever field, it doesn't matter as long as it's international education. You have been involved with international students. We will consider that, and it is 65 points per year. So if you've been in the industry for 10 years, 650 points easily. If you've spoken another language now, because this is a credential based in Australia, so we use our English as the primary language. Now, anything that's other than English will be considered foreign language. So if you know Bahasa, if you know Mandarin, if you know Russian, if you know under European, Spanish, Italian, whatever, just add them in. As long as you can provide proof, as listed here, we will consider and award you 200 points per language. Right. Outside of the workplace, this is the part where if you've been very active nationally in the government bodies, you know, you've been part of, for example, this is a very good one, any government council, for example. And if you've been in the state one, not national level, state, for example. So even Asana, for example, Asana is actually considered national if you're in the National Secretariat, or if you are in Queensland chapter only, or Victoria chapter only. There are 3 different categories that you can claim for, and it is per year. There is a maximum of 3 years, so you can, even though you've been active for 10 years, for example, but there's only a maximum of 3 years, so you can only claim a maximum of 1,200 points over for national involvement, or 900 points for your state level or territory level involvement. Experiences abroad. Now, this is a tricky one that unfortunately trapped a few people. So because it's again Australian credential, so primary is Australia is primary country. So if let's say you have been an international student previously in Australia, and then now that you're already a resident here, we don't count then, unfortunately. So it has to be outside of Australia. Yeah. So if you've taken part, for example, if you were a citizen of Germany, and then you took part in your study abroad, for example, in Spain, or you took part in study abroad in China, so that can be considered. Now, if you also do any staff exchange or staff training overseas, that can also be considered, as long as they're 2 weeks at least, at the very least, for this short term. Now, if you've been away for over a year, you can get 300 points per country. So this is something you can consider looking into. Now, also with this long term, there's a little caveat as well, that it has to be a country outside of your outside of your birth, and also if you have not been a permanent resident or citizen of that country. So unfortunately, like myself, I've actually lived in 4 different countries, but also been a resident of those countries, or a country of birth. I couldn't claim any of them. There you go. So it is very sad, but you know what? You can just look at other activities to claim points for. So move on. Now, volunteering, if you've been very active as well in helping the community in various ways and form that is outside of your day-to-day job, they can also be considered. It's about 50 points per instance. You need to provide information though. You can't just put in, oh, I've just been involved in a meeting. It doesn't really count that way. Awards. If you have done, if you've been awarded any IEAA Excellence Awards, they can also, there's a lot of points here. If you have been internally recognized in your company, it has to be of a very high level. So if you're working in an institution, in a university setting, only levels of, like, for example, vice chancellors. The reason why is because it has to be something that, you know, you have to really you've done something that really contributed to the international education community, then we will award this grant. So if it is just I'm the best employee of the month, unfortunately, those will not give you. If you can see, it is 400 points. So it is really, you know, it's a bit logical. Just think like 400 points is really worth a lot. And it really has to be substantial enough to be awarded this 400 points. Giving back. So if you have, this is something that I highly encourage as well. If you are just starting or you have been in the industry for 5 years or so, if you are still clueless about what you want to do, maybe think about involving yourself in with IEAA. We have got 8 different networks, and each network has 3 different volunteers positions that you can aim for, and this will be called the network convener, deputy convener. There's also a research community you can be part of, and for those who are young at heart, who are wanting to, you know, get inspire the next future leaders and getting people involved together on a regular basis in the form of networking events, you can consider being part of a chair. And each state or territory will have 2 co-chairs. So something to consider, because this also help you to accumulate points faster. If you have been in any project working group too, as long as involving international education and it's from a peak body, for example, you can also claim points for that. Knowledge. If you have been presenting, speaking at events, even if it is just a webinar, even if it is part of a panel, you can claim points for those too. The thing though, if you're chairing, unfortunately, it will be on a case-by-case basis. If we are chairing, but because you have already, you're the one that spearheaded the whole activity, so you were the one that put together the speaking notes and who were to be your speakers in that panel or in the session, that can be considered. But if you're just chairing, you're being appointed to chair to just facilitate a session, unfortunately, highly likely you won't be eligible for points. So there's a lot more here, and you can read on. If you have done any publication as well, so depending on the type of publication you have published, you can also get points. Now, there is some limitation to some of them, so just be mindful if you are a writer and you do write a lot. So just be very mindful of the different categories and the different limitations. Networking. So as majority of us might have already come across AIEC, and that usually is in October. And I think this year will be on the 14th of October. It's the first one, first day in Canberra. So every year that you participate in AIEC, in the last 10 years, you only consider in the last 10 years, it will be you will be awarded 200 points. So the last one now is 2014 onwards. Anything before that, unfortunately, we don't recognize. I need to update this. And also, if you've been attending networking event, for example, you can also claim points now, especially events organized by IEAA. You definitely, it will already be allocated accordingly in your profile. So you don't have to add them for any IEA activities, because everything is stored in our system. So here I am back to my fellowship account. So I will just add an activity now that you know what are the activities that are eligible for points and what are the ones that you need to be mindful of. So for me, I'm just going to add my professional working experience here, and it's under experience in the workplace, professional experience, 65 points per year. And all I need to do here as a description is just put, working, history for the past 15 years. And if you want to put in more details, you can put in what you work for or which kind of organizations you've been part of. And this is the part where there's a field. So depending on what activity you entered, there are different fields. There might be additional field that you need to enter. So for example, here I put 15 years and I can attach my CV as a supporting document, or I can even put my LinkedIn. So I can just go to LinkedIn. Sorry, not Brad, but myself. Not that I'm stalking people, but this is part of my process when I'm reviewing or doing assessment. I need to look into people's profiles and just make sure that you're claiming correctly. And so this is what I'll do. I'll just put in there and I'll just save and close. And that's it. It will just add on, and the system will take a while for it to calculate itself. And if I have already maybe done AIC as well. Now, AIC, some of us might know that we collaborate with IDP to deliver this AIEC conference annually. But because it's not sitting in our system, so it is still important for you to add in, and I will then verify as part of the assessment process. So I'll just put in here AIEC. For example, I've attended in 2020, not 2020, there was none because of COVID, but maybe 2018. And then I've also attended in 2023, for example, and 2024 last year. So this is 3 years. So I'll just put here the time, the number of years that I have been involved. So I'll just put 3 years here. And you see, that's it. It didn't really ask you for further information because I have the database to verify and check. So I don't actually need to do anything else apart from that, and just save and close. Now, what about other activities? So let's just do one more. Maybe I won't do today, but maybe, for example, just recently I attended, for example, right? I'll just put in here API just for the sake of doing something that is not related to IEAA. So I just put API here as a description, and I put 2025, and there you go. So on here, the attachment, you need to give me something to make sure that yes, you actually attended. So to just prove your attendance, it can be a screenshot or a post on your social media platform with you and the API background, and ideally the lanyard as well, because that tells me which year. So I need to have all those information, the year, the type of events, and basically physical attendance. So that's brilliant. If you have that, that's amazing. Otherwise, registration normally will also be accepted, or confirmation of your attendance as an email, that also is acceptable. So that will be, if you don't have information, that's all right as well. You can just save it and come back to it later, or during assessment, provide those information. That is also fine. So that is, I'm going to just show you those 3 examples. I think you can go through it yourself and see, if you're not sure, you can email me in another time. So there you go. Now go back to fellowship goals and see how much points I've accumulated. There are obviously many more activities that I have in my logbook, and it's telling me that I have accumulated even 7,000 points, 7,400 points. So that has definitely surpassed the associate fellow points threshold. In fact, I can go for my fellow goal. So I will add that then, because I've accumulated over 7,000 points. I qualify for the fellow assessment. So what happened then? Since I am eligible for fellow assessment, then I will click on fellow. I won't go for associate fellow anymore, because why do I need to pay twice, right? So every assessment will incur a one-off assessment fee, and they are all tiered now. So different level has different assessment fee. So for fellow this year is $180. So something, sorry, this is associate fellow. Let me just go back again, my apologies. Yeah, so that is for associate fellow, $180. For fellow, it is a little bit higher. Let me see. Oh, it's not coming up. Okay. I think maybe, let me just go to credential assessment. This is one of the issues sometimes you face. But yes, so just if it is giving you problems like that, come and let me know, because I can obviously toggle it on the back end. But just for demonstration sake today, if you are happy with Associate Fellow and you want to be awarded with this, so there's an $180 here. So you just add to the cart. It's like online shopping now, yeah? We should be familiar now with online shopping. So you just go to your cart, which is now located on the top right-hand corner next to your name. And just go to your cart and follow the prompting and, to make the payment and just submit the order. And what happened on the back end, then I will get a notification that, hey, Mr. Jones have already requested for an assessment. It's time to do the assessment. Now it take about sometimes 3 weeks or even a month to do the assessment, because of maybe supporting information that are lacking, that are missing, or I will just keep you notified and posted on where you are at with your assessment application. And if everything goes smoothly, then I will ask the PD committee to do a review and endorse your application. So that is it. It's very straightforward. And now I will stop sharing my screen and I'll see what questions we have got here. Yes, feel free to ask any questions, everybody. And I can see that people have already. How about this? My colleague will do the other poll. We'll show you another poll, because I have got some tricky or interesting questions to ask you, to just make sure that, these are very common questions, I guess, that I have come across that people are not sure about. So if you just take time, maybe about 5 seconds or so, to just answer these 3 questions, just so that I know whether you understand and whether there's any other uncertainties or things you're not aware of, and I'll answer accordingly. So I'll give you 5 seconds to do this while I go through what are the questions that you have that have not been answered on the chat box. Oh yeah, so some people have actually asked if IEAA events, whether they will be automatically added. So yes, because it is our system is integrated with IEAA events only. So any IEAA events you have attended, remember, it's attended. So if you have registered but you forgot to attend or you could not attend, we will not award fellowship point to you. So just be mindful of that. If you have moved out of the international sector, yeah, it's been answered as well. So it doesn't matter, as long as you're a member of IEAA, you will still retain these fellowship points in the system. So come back to us again when you're ready to resume. It will just be there. All right. I've got 2 open questions here. Oh yes, there's a very good one by Anonymous. So if there is inconsistency in the assessment process, so for example, there's a gap suddenly, right? So for example, just now, if I request for an associate fellow and I have got 4,000 points, just nice, 4,000 points. Unfortunately, a couple of the activities were not accepted because they are not eligible. They are not meeting the criteria. Then what will happen? You will just be kept in the system, and you just have to keep adding other activities until you reach the threshold again. Thereafter, I will do another round of assessment without you having to pay any additional fee. So there's only one-off payment per level assessment. I hope that answers your question. If I am a member of so any member, I need to check and verify, because there's a lot of case-by-case assessment as well. If you're part of a working group, if you're part of a national governing body, or or state level body as well that you're trying to claim points for, so those will be on a case-by-case basis. So Kim, I'll have to answer your question this offline. Yeah. So is it too suitable to have Kwang, I'm not too sure what you mean by affiliate professional body membership. Can you elaborate further? So unfortunately, with the online module, somebody actually asked about IEA online modules. Yeah, we are doing a review of it at the moment. So at the moment, it's not open for new enrollments, but when we do, we will let you know, we'll notify you. However, if you have got other modules that you have done that is related to, for example, from ISEF or from ICEF or from NAFSA also do modules, training modules, asynchronous one, you can also claim points for those. So if you're having any account issue, assessing issues, please email admin@IEAA.org.au. My colleague will put that on, maybe I'll do that here. Any inquiries can be. Okay, I'm just very mindful of the time, everybody. So thank you so much for completing the quiz. So just to give you the right answers here. So what is the first step to becoming IEA Associate Fellow, Senior Fellow? The very, very first step is to be an IEA member. If you are not an IEA member, that is fine. But basically, yes, set your goal. Yeah, to start off the fellowship program is to set your goal. Now, when can I request for an assessment? It is only after you meet your goals criteria, because then it will pop up for you to click and proceed with your payment. If you have not met your criteria, it will not appear as an option for you to click. What activities will I earn IEA related points for? So all those choices there, except for Excellence Award, because Excellence Award is not a participation, it is just a recognition, and so it will not give you any IEA related points. So if you can see, Associate Fellow will require you to have 600 IEA related points, and then Fellow will need 900 points, and Senior Fellow will need 1,200 points, and that is part of your overall points. So Associate Fellow, you need 4,000 points. Out of these 4,000 points, 600 points will have to be from IEA related activities. And this can be participating in AIEC event, in any events organized by us, forums, networking events, webinars, we will accept them as well. And also online modules, but at the moment it is not accepting any new enrollments. All right, I think that's it for today. I understand there are still a lot more questions here. I can't answer them all, unfortunately, because of time limitation. But if you have got any further inquiries regarding fellowship, this is my email here that you can email directly, inquire directly. Otherwise, anything that is related to your accounts, your membership, you can go to admin@iea.org.au, but anything related to your fellowship profile, related to your fellowship process or assessment, it will be professional-learning@iea.org.au. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you so much for being here in this webinar. I wish you a fantastic Friday and enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.